Astra Travelers, and welcome to another episode of Tales of Teyvat, a Genshin Lore Podcast. Last week, we took the plunge past the bloodstained coral into Enkanomiya. We still miss Enjo and his quips, and we hope he'll be back soon. This week, we'll be discussing our favorite Pyro family, Klee and Alice. Additionally, I want to remind travelers to visit talesofteyvat.com to see visual representations of the lore mentioned during today's podcast. Your guides have put them together for you to make things a little easier to understand. On our site, you can also find some awesome goodies, including artist spotlights from the community for each episode, wallpapers for download, and a way to check out some of our favorite Genshin merch. Also, travelers, our mailbox is officially open, and we want to hear all your thoughts, questions, and theories for a special summer episode we'll be doing. Feel free to email, DM, or send your thoughts through the Kokomi Express. Express all your thoughts, and we'll answer on the podcast. Feel free to ask about lore, the podcast, or your favorite hosts. And we can't wait to see everything you have to say. You can email us at talesofteyvatpod@gmail.com, message us on Instagram at talesofteyvatpod, or on Twitter, talesofteyvat. With that being said, I would like to just formally introduce Alice as the numerous things that she goes by. So everyone, please meet Alice, the great adventurer of the realms, Dodo King, defender of Old Mondstadt, friend of adults who yet harbor hope, author of the Teyvat Travel Guide, originator of the Kujari art, supplier to the renowned Lord Enkanomiya Bay, codename A, mother of the most adorable Klee, the unaging mage and grand sorceress.
Thank you for letting me be here. I love it. Thank you.
She has so many names for a person that we've never seen.
She has more names than a harbinger.
Oh my, and that's honestly worth something.
She rivals Daenerys Targaryen at this point.
She's up there with Skara.
And she goes up to Scaramouche and is like, who are you? With your 3 names? 4 names, maybe.
Pops. Maybe.
No, he has a couple more than that. I would say he was up to like 5 or 6. He's got nothing on Alice, that's for sure.
Exactly. She's the Dodo King.
I mean, he has as many names as people who have played up through the Wanderer storyline.
Okay.
Very true. Good point.
I call him Weasel.
Little Weasel.
Can we call Alice something like that? She needs like a funny nickname, I feel. Because she's kind of cray-cray from my understanding.
Chaos Mom.
She's just chaos.
So we know Alice a little bit, even though we haven't met her. But more importantly, we know Klee, Alice's daughter. So for those of you who don't know, Klee is the little spark knight of the Knights of Favonius. And Noelle's pretty jealous of her. She really wants to know how Klee got to rise up in the ranks as fast as she can. But when Noelle asked Klee how like she became a knight so quickly, Klee just invited her out to throw bombs around. So Noelle never got an answer.
I mean, Noelle just doesn't understand how dangerous bombs are. That's such an asset for the knights to have.
Poor Noelle.
Noelle is like sweeping up her little Dodoko bombs. They're about to like blow up in her face.
Like, man, I've taken this test multiple times. They're not letting me in, but they let this little child in.
Yeah, because she knows how to fucking make bombs.
Yes, thanks to her mom.
Well, I mean, she's a
Yeah.
little bit of a Nepo baby, let's be real.
Oh, yeah.
That is a good point, Brandon.
Alice herself is destruction incarnate, so very on point that Klee blew up half of Mondstadt already at the age of, 8 years old?
I know. I love that Mondstadt's just constantly being terrorized by Alice and her daughter.
Absolutely. I didn't know that Klee was born in Mondstadt. I thought, like, maybe we would have found out that Alice was from wherever she's from and that she had Klee there. But no, she was born in Mondstadt, been there her entire life.
Yeah, and her mom and dad raised her there before like Alice went out to do more traveling. Actually, Alice is out traveling with the unknown father of Klee.
I was gonna say, you mean before that they abandoned their child?
Yes.
Which is another name for Alice, child abandoner.
Deadbeat mom.
She is also a pageant mom. Maybe not to Klee, but to everybody else.
Yeah.
Deadbeat mom. What else type of mom is she?
Deadbeat pageant chaos mom.
Yes,
Oh my God.
absolutely. She does care. She sends money to Klee.
Aw.
She sends her on vacation.
Whatever.
They actually did take a vacation together in 2022, which was surprising.
Yeah, well,
Which is
we were at the
sad.
archipelago, right?
Yeah, it was the second archipelago.
There's too many archipelagos. I was reading somewhere the other day where they're like, the Inazuman archipelagos. I was like, no more archipelagos.
You mean the archipelago?
No.
Lego.
The Golden Apple Bottom archipelago.
Apple bottom jeans. I will say though, it's interesting you guys bring up that like Alice is just as destructive as Klee. Because one, Mika literally says that he's had to revive his maps on several occasions because of Klee.
Yeah.
Two, Albedo says that while Klee is very destructive in nature, that she is nothing compared to Alice.
Yeah. And this is, mind you, Klee, for one of her birthdays, and she's only 8, killed a primo Vishap.
Yes, so she took some of its scales home, right?
Like, what do you do with this child? What do? You just let them off into the world and let them destroy it, because at that point there is no hope.
I mean, she's the chaos mom. She literally will, like, and I'm talking about Alice, she will bomb things just to make them look nicer to her.
Mhm.
Storm Terror's lair.
Yeah, and D-Luke has banned her from going anywhere near Star Snatch Cliff.
Kaya, actually.
Oh, Kaya, sorry. Kaya has banned her from going anywhere. And I think that's cute because they all like I feel like, you know, Kaya, D-Luke, Albedo, and Venti all really like Cecilia flowers. So they're like, please just leave them alone. That's the only place they grow. Except for the imaginary greenhouse that D-Luke has in the manga that we're like secretly waiting for.
One day when we get access to that fucking basement. We got access to the fucking like cat bar finally for TCG. Give me a greenhouse.
Yes, Cat's Tail has been so cute. They really did a good job with it.
Mm-hmm.
I will say too, it's funny that we bring up all the destruction on top of that. During Mondstadt's wine festival this year in 2023, or was it 2022? I don't remember what happened.
Yes, this year.
During the wine festival where we're like celebrating the return of Barbados, even though he's been with us the entire time, we're talking about Albedo, and he basically says that he's been letting the Knights of Favonia sell his art. And he says that the money should go to paying toward the destruction that Alice has created, not Klee. Which is interesting because he definitely deals more with Klee than Alice from what I could tell. But also Albedo is the worst because he literally has taught Klee how to make new gunpowder out of like lizard tails.
Well, you gotta support a kid, you know.
I know, he's like, you know what, Klee? You may be destroying stuff, but let's make it better.
He's a
Yeah.
good big brother.
I mean, doesn't he strike you as someone who gets excited anytime someone is like curious about experimenting,
Yeah,
science?
science.
Yeah.
And he's just being a good older brother. He's like, you want to experiment? Yay! Let's do it together! Yay!
He's like, I could sell one painting and pay for all of the destruction that you're about to cause.
With
Yeah.
my new lizard
Why
tail
not?
gunpowder.
The fact that he can make a lizard gunpowder.
Yeah, I got questions.
Yeah, how like
But I swear I won't make this an Albedo episode. We know Klee as Little Miss Destructo, Chaos Machine, who is a young spark knight in the Knights of Favonia. She's often locked up in solitary confinement, bombing things, making Mika's life harder. She's a generally optimistic kid as well, from what I can tell.
Yeah, and she loves to blast fishes.
Yeah, it's like her favorite pastime.
Yeah, she really like that's like she's like, oh, you're sad? Let's go fish blasting.
mm-hmm.
I wish my life got fixed like that.
Yeah.
It can be.
Yeah, have you tried? Because you never know. Have you ever tried to blow up water?
Have you ever gone to like a frozen pond or a frozen lake and just like found a little hole and just thrown a cherry bomb or one of those little colorful smoke bombs and just watched it go?
No.
It's very satisfying. It's very harmful to anything living in that water, but it's very satisfying as a destructive person.
Okay, Klee. Klee grown up is Al.
Literally.
Yes.
And then Alice. So I know I introduced Alice with all of her fancy titles, but mostly we know Alice as the creator of the Teyvat travel guide, mom to Klee, a member of the Hexen Circle, and Gold's best friend.
Also good friends with the old hag,
Yes.
Mona's master. She actually purchased Klee's backpack while shopping with the old hag.
Yeah, and didn't the old hag like help pick out her like her hat too or something? Like
Yes.
so funny. So does the old hag have a good fashion sense?
I mean, Mona says so, but you know, do we love Mona's hat? I don't know.
Aw,
days.
Mono's hat shade. Not nice.
Listen, I love Mona, but her outfit, it could use some improving,
And they already gave her a new outfit.
which was worse.
Eh,
I am Hashtag Team Tights.
I am team give her an amazing revamp right now.
Yeah, like Lisa got.
Yeah, oh my God. So I really, you know what I hope for? When we get to Fontaine, she's gonna have her journalist, like astrologist outfit.
Oh.
It'll be like kind of a newsy-esque thing, but orbs of in
Oh my
stars.
God.
Oh,
That's
let's
a
have
perfect
that.
time to give her a new outfit.
Exactly. Can we? It makes so
I
much sense.
agree. I think a cloak would be awesome.
Exactly. It'd be the perfect time because Fontaine comes right after 3.8. Best time. Like, we have Elisa. Ayaka has a Fontaine-esque or very more like fun.
I will be switching back to my Fontaine outfit for Ayaka. Like as soon as I get to Fontaine, I will be bringing back the Fontaine
I
outfit.
want to see some like French gardens and just you walking around with your Ayaka in her new outfit and just like being gorgeous.
There will be a lot of screenshots.
It would be like the most picturesque Parisian thing ever.
I feel like everyone thinks that Fontaine is going to be like this beautiful French place, and I'm just over here like it's going to be steampunk dark.
Oh, it's totally going to be steampunk, and I'm going to love it.
There's gonna be aspects, but at least one, some aspect of French gardens, please.
Yeah, hopefully it's both.
You know what I really would love to see? And this goes back to BioShock Infinite. I want to see a mechanical little steambird that we get to put in our teapot. Because one, that would make Tiff very happy. And two, fiends could not kill it.
I would.
Damn,
find a
you'd
way.
find a way.
She'd torture it. She'd find a way to torture
Hey,
it.
I wouldn't torture it. Damn. Okay.
You would just try and lead them to their death.
By accident. I
Oh,
don't do it on purpose.
Like quote unquote accident.
Yeah.
It is an
Quote, unquote.
accident.
You chased that tiny little boar to the edge of the world.
I didn't.
He had
I
to jump.
love animals.
You do love animals. I never doubt. But
I mean, you love
sometimes-
child, so
With
Oh
an
my
E.
God.
Oh my God. I can't with you.
Anyway, so that's who Klee and Alice are. I hope that Alice is in Fontaine. But besides that, we do have basically 3 family members, quote unquote, that we could put into this like little circle.
Albedo.
Yes. The first one is Albedo. Albedo looks at Klee like a younger sister and vice versa. Klee calls him mostly big brother. And Albedo says that he does view Klee as a younger sister. And then because of that, you kind of have to assume that they see Gold, Albedo's master, as a family member as well. Especially since Alice keeps trying to get Albedo to call her mom.
Yeah, she's like
Yeah.
big on that. Like a little too much.
Yeah, I would agree. That's a little sussy.
Which makes me just even go like, are they related in somehow? Or I mean, I also say this with I have like close girlfriends and stuff like that their kids call me aunt, and I'm nowhere near related to them. So, you know, like knowing that too, but like mom just kind of it's a little boundary steppy.
hold on. So this made me kind of think that Gold might be dead.
Oh,
Because not to sound like Amanda,
There's nothing wrong with that, Brandon.
but remember how she writes the letter to D. Luke during Hidden Strife?
Yes.
And she wrote that to him shortly after his father died, and he like went on his little walkabout thing. And she was very much like, you've taken good care of my daughter in the past, like you were really sensitive to her, and I hope that you'll think of me as your parent. And it was like, because his dad died, and we don't know what the deal is with his mom, I guess, but you know, he was parentless, and she was like, I'll be your parent. And so it made me think that when she's like, call me mom, and this is your sister, that it kind of made me feel like Alice knows that Gold is never coming back. Either she's dead or she's like just gone from the world.
Honestly, I know this sounds terrible, but if Gold is dead, good. Like, she's torturing my boy Albedo so much. It's so sad.
Is the truth of this world just love?
How is she torturing him? What do you mean?
Because she, like, basically was like, peace out, Cub Scout, find the truth of this world. You left, like,
Right.
a chalk boy who could barely process his emotions with, like, the biggest world quest ever. Find the truth of the world. We've been trying to find the truth of the world for the last 2 years as we've played the game, and we actually do deep dives into the lore and don't have to do alchemy, and we can't figure it out. Are the scars fake? Are we living in a dream? Is everything a snow globe effect? Albedo is been just kind of charged by his master, who he openly admits that he sees as a mother figure, to find the truth of this world, and then she leaves. Albedo hasn't seen her in years.
I know we're going to have an Albedo episode at some point, so I don't want to get too deep into it. But what if Albedo was implanted with something?
I don't like it. But, we do know that Klee came to Mondstadt again to be left with the Knights, 3 years before the game starts?
3 years before the game starts.
We know that Gold left Albedo with Alice before that. So Albedo hasn't seen Gold in at least 4 years, 5 years. I don't know. I honestly would be happy if she were dead. I mean, he's kind of getting the vibe a little bit on his own, which is nice.
Well, and we also know that she possibly started the cataclysm.
Yeah, and Albedo shouldn't have that weight on his shoulders of her dumbness. Anyway, I digress. Klee and Alice. So we also know that Klee has a father, and she does say that she has a voice line about her parents. Klee specifically says that her mom and dad are the famousest, which I don't know how she came up with the word. It doesn't even come off the tongue easy. Travelers in Teyvat. And that's all. That's it. Mom writes the Teyvat travel guide, and dad is apparently famous too, but never mentions who that father could be. And is he also does he have elfy ears like Klee does, or is he a human?
Yeah, because we don't even know if Alice has, well, no, we do know that Alice probably has those ears, because she says to Klee that they're a part of a race that lives very long.
Are they even from this world?
Yeah, what is with the elf ears? And no one ever acknowledges it at all in the game. And there are other characters that have them, like Layla.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Pulcinella, Nahida. They all have elf ears.
I honestly don't think Alice was born or is originally from Teyvat.
You think she might be one of the descenders?
Yes. Absolutely. One of the reasons I say that is because she references the Rubicon, which is an Italian river that Caesar crossed at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and isn't the Rubicon, if you cross the Rubicon, isn't that considered crossing, a point of no return, kind of? So if you did go into another realm of sorts, you would cross that line of no return.
Can't remember in history when it talks about when Julius Caesar led that legion over it. It has something to do with that specific idea of the point of no return.
Yeah, and this is brought to our attention during the chasm, where Ji Qiang is saying that the chasm might be, to quote the great adventurer Alice, my Rubicon. And then they actually play with this idea, because the travelers the Rubicon, is that Hilly Trail language? And Paimon is I've never heard of that either. And Ziqiang is well, I'm not too sure myself, but given that Alice is an adventurer who has seen the entire world, that must be someplace she's been to, right? And we're kind of you're Rubicon. And we still don't know what it means, even though she's using it. So a lot of people sort of speculate that Alice has been to or connected with Earth somehow, our Earth, which kind of makes sense because she also narrates Aloy's collected miscellany video instead of Dainsleif. And, Aloy, for those who don't know, is actually from Earth's future. And she ends up in Teyvat by going through a portal that she discovers in a lab. So it could make sense that maybe Alice has been to Earth, or at least an alternate duplicate type of version of Earth, a different bubble universe Earth.
A bubble Earth, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
We know, at least from the twins, there are multiple different worlds and they can be accessed. And I do have a theory that kind of comes from the Witcher universe in the way of how these kind of places can connect. But I also was the Rubicon, I'm so stuck on it because of how important it is in Roman history. The only other thing, she could be saying this could be used as a term of matching your points against an opponent's points, but that is only used in context with what happened at Rubicon. So it's so Is this just Alice's isekai? Is this just her anime and we're all living in it?
Maybe, but also when Alice is grooming Barbara to become a pop star, she's like, you should be Teyvat's idol. And Barbara's like, what's an idol? And Alice is like, oh, here's a magazine that explains it. And she gives her this idol magazine. And in the lore, it actually says that Barbara had no idea what world this magazine had come from.
It's actually 16.
But by reading it, she found out that there was indeed such a thing as an quote unquote idol, and that it mainly involved working hard at getting everyone to like you. So that's another kind of clue of maybe Alice has been to Earth. Is she talking about American Idol or some other kind of idol TV show competition?
I love the fact that that there's a possibility she was watching American Idol.
I know.
Or there's idols. That franchise is everywhere too. But
I like to think that she was watching The Masked Singer.
Where America's Got Talent.
For travelers who might not know, Aloy, as Brandon mentioned, is from a future Earth, but from a different video game.
Yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn. Let's go.
Hell yeah. One of the greatest video games of all time, just so you know.
Brennan is very biased.
Brandon will send us pictures sometimes of screenshots from the game, and I go, is that Aloy from the hit game Genshin Impact? But Genshin did have a crossover with Horizons when one of their games was coming out. Was it last year?
I think it was like a DLC or something.
And so travelers got Aloy and a special bow if they were playing on PlayStation, and it's super annoying because there's no way to build up the constellations for Aloy and blah blah blah. But what's interesting about that, as mentioned, is that Alice voices Aloy's character trailer. Now, every character in Genshin has a character trailer, and Dainsleif does all but 3 of them, I believe.
Yes.
One is assumed to be Nicole. I forget who does that one. And then Alice voices Aloy's and Dory's.
Yes, she's very close with Dory. She was actually Dory's first supplier, and she funds her, adventures, her travel adventures through Teyvat by sending her inventions to Dory, and then Dory sells them and sends Mora back to Alice wherever she's at in the world.
And Dory speaks pretty highly of Alice too. She said that Alice's range of eccentric novelty knows no end and makes her the best supplier that she has. And then of course Dory threatens us and wants money. But I think it's interesting that she says that she's kind of the jack of all trades, because they actually refer to Alice a lot as a polymath, which in dictionary terms, because of course I had to Google that when I saw it, is a person who knows a lot about many different things. So they say where Gold is really specialized in alchemy, Alice dabbles in it all, which is scary because she also blows shit up.
Yeah.
She's just like her daughter. She's someone that is very driven by her id. I just said ego when I'm talking about id. This episode brought to you by Freud.
No,
not again. He strikes again.
I did want to say that I know we love to make fun of Dory and her greed and everything, but Dory is obsessed with Mora because her sister got sick with a fatal illness, and her family couldn't afford any medicine to save her.
No, make us feel bad, Brandon.
Such the state of the American health system.
Yeah, it was very American. Yeah. And she feels really close with Alice because Alice was the first person to sort of take a chance on her. Alice was like, oh, you want endless reserves of Mora? I got you. You can sell my inventions. And sort of became her first connection. And that's very, I guess, typical of Alice. She definitely has that I'll do anything to help anyone, but I'll also destroy everything if I want to vibe.
She does want to be everybody's mom and collect them.
And I think it's interesting too, because you can kind of see how she rubs off on other people. Like you were just saying, she was like, oh, well, I could make a ton of money on these inventions, but I'll give them to you instead and you can make the money. And you kind of see that with Albedo, where he's like, I could make a ton of money off my paintings, but instead I'm going to give it to the knights to help pay for all the trouble my aunt is causing.
and my sister.
And my sister. And I feel like Klee Klee too. She's always trying to help. Like, she likes fish bombing, but I think she likes providing. She's like, look, food.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just the entertainment of blowing them up. She also likes the idea that she's feeding them.
She's definitely like a mini Alice, but without the magic.
Yet.
She's a wholesome, chaos.
Alice is very knowledgeable in alchemy, astrology, engineering, magic, and medicine. But I think it's interesting that obviously we know about the astrology with the Hexen Circle, we know about the engineering side with all of her inventions and things like that, and her magic, obviously. But I don't see anything about her medicinal side to her. Did anybody find anything?
I did, but it's shady.
Oh no.
That sounds correct.
So there's this guard in Liyue named Echo,
Oh.
who used to have a very bad stutter, and he encountered Alice, and Alice was like, I got you, boo. And she gave him this magical potion that cured his stutter, but the side effect was that it makes him mimic anyone around him. So if you talk to Echo, he just repeats back everything that you say to him, and you're like, what the hell are you doing? And he's like, what the hell are you doing?
Was his name Echo before?
I doubt it. I doubt it.
Probably not.
Imagine how annoying it is to be his boss.
I'm just thinking that maybe Alice isn't the greatest at medicine.
She just has that listed like in her extras on her resume.
Right. It's like at the bottom of her list of expertise.
It's like, can do medicine.
She should go learn from Tignari.
Yes.
You want her around
Oh
Tignari?
my god, that's true. Well, Tignari doesn't have dead parents that I know of, so like she's not going to adopt him.
I mean, technically Barbara's parents aren't dead, and she was trying to get her.
I mean, we don't know about the mom or the dad.
True. Well, yeah, I guess that's
They
actually
could
true.
be
We
dead
don't know.
now.
They might be dead. That might be actually key to knowing that they're dead. Because she also she also tries to get Ayaka to join the whole Teyvat idol thing too. And
Yeah.
dead
And Ayaka's
parents.
like, no.
Yeah.
Thanks.
She's like, nah. But again,
I
dead
think
parents.
you're right, Tiff. Maybe this proves that Jean and Barbara's parents are both dead.
Yeah.
Okay, but hear me out.
I'm so scared now.
What if Alice is either A, the knave, or B, is trying to work against the Shneznayan orphanage? Like, she's trying to bring in all, like, the powerful, like, visioned orphans. Like, no, come here.
She's trying to one up this Russian knave, aka Viri.
It's going to be the end game is like Battle of the Orphans.
Yeah.
Stop
It's going to be like
it.
Lord of the Rings, but like orphans on each side.
Absolutely.
So we have talked a little bit about both of these characters, and I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the other important relationships that those characters have. Starting with Klee. We've talked a lot about Albedo, so the only thing I'll say that we actually probably didn't mention is that, Albedo and Klee see each other as siblings. Albedo was left with Alice when Klee was young, I don't know how young, so younger. Yeah, because Gold had to go do whatever after finding some sort of artifact. And so Albedo, which I think is who Klee references as the white boy, or the boy in white. Sorry, I was like, the
All
white
right,
boy.
white boy.
I mean, he is a white boy. And everybody's a white boy.
White boy.
Everyone is the white boy. I think that Albedo is probably that boy in white that she mentions in like her character story and how they became like intertwined family or whatever they say. So we could skip Albedo, but Kaya and Jean are probably like king and queen of the babysitter club for Klee.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. I'll look at any montage that has Jean chasing Klee with any stupid music behind it. I will gobble that shit up. It's my favorite thing.
My question is just how the higher ups in the knights are the ones babysitting
Yeah.
Klee.
I would like to think that it's with Jean being the acting grand master, like it kind of became a thing there. And I feel like with Kaya, he just liked her,
Well, that is his boyfriend's sister, so
It's true. It is valid.
So this kind of goes back to what was happening with her father, who, by the way, I think is also dead.
Dun, dun, dun.
Everybody did.
Because it actually says, like in Klee's character story 5, she says that this was the way things were until her parents left to travel to somewhere dangerous and far away. They entrusted Klee to the care of Albedo and the Knights of Favonius. So it seems like Alice and Klee's father both went somewhere dangerous and far away, and I'm assuming it was at the service of Mondstadt, which is why the Knights of Favonius were like, yeah, we'll take care of your kid. Like, go help us, you know? And what could that be? Do you think that they left with all the rest of Mondstadt when they went to do whatever they're doing?
Was that around the same time?
No, because the manga takes place 6 months to a year prior to the game starting.
Okay.
And I think that Varka has left like a few months prior to the manga. Brandon, do you remember?
I don't remember, no.
Well, they left 3 years ago.
Alice and her husband left 3 years ago.
It's in Character Story 1. It says 3 years ago, Klee was entrusted to the Knights of Favonius by her parents, who were famed adventurers.
We have that little bit of a timeline with it, at least.
So this would be before Varka left with everyone.
I think that it's like a borderline because we're not 100% sure in the manga when Varka left. I think it's 6 months before the manga that Varka leaves, which would mean that Varka left a year to a year and a half prior to the game starting. But it's totally possible it was sooner.
And I mean, we never know, too. Varka could have sent them along first, too.
Yeah.
In that type of an idea. You know, they very much could have been out there scouting.
Do you guys remember during the Venti storyline where you're like going around seeing people's like imaginary friends? You end up helping that one adventurer who is pretending to be like a famous adventurer, and he like cries about the fact that he's dead.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Oh, you mean
Yes.
the guy who's taken on the famous identity, but the person who's actually of that identity died.
And it was his friend.
Yeah, he says like something about the winds and everything.
It was in that giant sandstorm, like forever sandstorm place in Sumeru.
Wasn't that a part of Venti's story?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, what if that famous adventurer was Klee's dad?
Ooh.
If you're
Ooh.
suggesting that he's dead.
There's also a possibility that Alice was like, hey, we're going away. And then she just plotted his death and killed him.
Stop it. No.
She accidentally
It
blew
could've
him
been.
up with a bomb.
Just a accidental.
Like, there's
homicide.
no need to tell Klee about any of this.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, he fell off the mountain and Shazna.
I mean, she would at least tell her daughter that he's dead, right?
No.
You would think so, but
You would hope so.
I mean,
but
Timmy doesn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Timmy knows. He's just
But Joel doesn't
delusional.
know.
And Joel doesn't know.
We didn't tell him.
We didn't tell Joel that's a whopper flower.
Look, I ain't gonna be the one to break that boy's bubble. I'm a little scared of him.
So the guy is pretending to be a person named Stanley. And what's interesting, actually, is this is bringing in Sumeru lore.
Oh.
So fake Stanley is sobbing, and he goes, "It should have been me. I should have been the one to die in the Mari Javari that day. Why won't your spirit come and stop me from using your name? If you hadn't had to save a rookie like me, you would have never died in that windless corner of the world. You were a renowned adventurer, destined to become a legend, but now that'll never happen."
Wow. Maybe they were sent to Sumeru.
Maybe, especially if, like, they got wind of anything going on with the Harbingers. I mean, we know that Varka has dealt with Capitano, thanks to Mika Mika.
Maybe that's why we don't have the Sumerian version of the Teyvat Tribal Guide. They were going off to go do it, and the guy died.
Yeah, you're right.
And we know that she's been to all these other places because, like, she makes references to Fontaine and to Shneznaya. So we just don't have them as the guides, but she does talk about them.
I do know that the Inazuma section was published during the Iridori Festival, or like right around then.
Which would make sense.
I did read a really interesting theory on Reddit that said someone was actually saying that they think that Klee's father is Dainsleif. And that's,
I read
that's
that
why that's why he narrates all the other collected miscellany videos.
I kind of would love that. I don't want that to really be true, but I kind of would love the bullshit and shenanigans that would come from that.
Yeah, I don't think it's true. true because like why would like we don't think that he was hanging around Mondstadt until 3 years ago. It's a fun theory.
It really is a fun theory. Because even though Klee, I guess canonically, like we think she's 8, but if she is part of a long-lived peoples, she could be
older, yeah. She could
yeah,
be
but
50.
she'd still be a baby in the people's minds, and she'd still be a baby in our minds.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we still call Nahida a baby, and she's like 500 years old.
She's a little baby.
Speaking of Nahida, I would like to throw out there that Nahida actually does make a comment about Mari Javari, which I'm probably pronouncing wrong. I am sorry. She says, "Oh, the Mari Javari, a place without anything at all, completely empty, just like a shroom boar's brain." Shade.
Wow.
Of course I know of it, but it's true. I have never seen it with my own eyes. It is one of the
Huh.
many places beyond my reach.
Ooh.
Ooh.
So an interesting idea that maybe they were checking out some shit they weren't supposed to be, and maybe Klee's dad did die. And currently, from what I could tell, it is not a location available for us to find.
No, it is
People
not.
have some assumed places that it might be. Also, our favorite chasm girl, Jixiang, also mentions it. She says that the environment in the chasm is no harsher than that of the Mari Javari.
Do you think it's possible that it could be in between the desert of Sumeru and Natlan?
It's definitely possible. They say that it's on the opposite side of Mondstadt, basically, is all they say. So it could be anywhere in that open.
Opposite where? North? South, east, west? Where?
Well, I also wonder if it has something to do with that big wind tunnel that's like over top of the Goddess of Flowers, like little area.
It really makes sense because the real Stanley was a famous adventurer.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. And it would make sense that other adventurers were with them, possibly.
Yeah. And Alice and Stanley, that goes together. I've shipped them on their names completely.
I legit
approve.
just thought you said my name was Allison Stanley, and I was gonna go with it. I'm like, what?
Like, yes, that is my full name.
Yeah.
This reminds me of when, as a child, I thought Alice in Wonderland was Allison Wonderland, and I wanted my last name to be Wonderland so bad.
Alice in Wonderland's actually a really good DJ.
Yeah, it actually is really good.
But I digress. I don't mean to sidetrack us too much from Alice and Klee into the world of the desert of Sumeru. But to sidetrack back, we were talking a little bit about some of the important relations they have. So we don't know who their dad is, but then Klee, besides the babysitters, also seems to be very close with Mika, who also seems to be a babysitter of sorts. Mika enjoys hanging out with her, but is kind of scared of her. And Klee also tells him
Mika's kind of scared of everyone, though.
Mika
to be
is
fair.
smart.
because of his trauma.
Why does he have trauma?
Can I say it? The last time I went to say it, you guys stopped me.
Oh, why is it like?
Well, Mika had just came out, so you guys did. I guess they want me to spoil.
Oh no, you can spoil.
Okay, so from my understanding, Mika's older brother, Huffman,
Mm-hmm.
is an alcoholic.
I'm not surprised.
And Mika would have to take care of him when their parents left.
Oh, that's fucked up, though.
But then what do you think that he would be not so shy? He'd be like,
I mean, look at
I'm the
Diona.
parent, I gotta get things done.
Well, I think that he more so doesn't want people to know that his brother's an alcoholic.
Oh, he has to keep it a secret.
And so I don't think that's because his thing is more so like when people talk to him about his personal life, he's like, ah! So I think
Right.
he's trying to hide his like personal life.
Okay.
Aw.
Poor baby.
Poor baby.
He's so cute.
Alice is also close with not only her husband, dead husband, Dory, who we mentioned, but also the other witches of the Hexen Circle. I mean, we just got a huge Hexen Circle lore drop this month or this year.
Yeah, when
Yes.
she's impersonating all the other witches.
I hope that they start kind of coming around a little bit more. They seem like they're a very interesting group of ladies.
Yeah. I want to meet Nicole. I want to meet the old hag.
Definitely.
I want to meet Nicole just to see what Nicole looks like. I'm like, do you look like a Nicole?
It's a Nicole with an H, so that means that she can look like anything.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
On top of that, too, I think it's actually really interesting that Alice was able to impersonate all the other witches.
I felt like it was clear that she was, oh, yes, hello. I like mustache over the, her finger as a mustache over her upper lip. To me, at least, it seemed pretty clear.
I don't know. It seemed like it was only Albedo and Klee were like, yeah, that's mom.
Yeah, because didn't Mona say, like, is that the old hag?
Mm-hmm.
And then the voice actress of Gold actually, like, announced herself, which we've talked about a little bit.
Yeah, but that was because the actual, like, when the teaser trailer came out with, like, the actual tea party, you can hear all of their voices.
Well, yeah, I thought it sounded the same, though, as in the little part in Windbloom. So I thought it was, like, suggesting that Alice did a really good job.
And she's also, magical.
Yeah, I can't with her using her magic powers to impersonate her friends.
True, yeah. I mean, she invented the phonograph. I'm sure she could invent some kind
True.
of device to mimic other people's voices.
Yeah, and she made the Dodoko communications thing that we used in the archipelago second time around.
Yeah, and if anybody doesn't know or didn't play that early or know the story, in the first archipelago summer event, there's a whole scheme that happens and all these people are trying to figure all this stuff out and figure out the Dodo King and all this stuff. And in the end, there's a phonograph in it to Alice just being like, hey, it was me. Glad you took care of my daughter all summer.
And then she's basically like, I know you've known the whole time, Albedo.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she slips in there like, oh, I made this device. Isn't that lovely?
I feel like Alice is very intuitive of people. Like, she has very, like, emotionally intelligent.
Yes. Like, she has no concern for other people's safety, but she has a lot of concern for their emotional well-being, just not their physical well-being.
Yeah. She's like, I'll blow you up, but I'll say I'm sorry.
Yeah. Which doesn't that kind of make you wonder, though, if the world is real? Like, maybe she knows something that we don't. Like, when you die in this game, like, you go to a different place. Like, I don't know. I feel like she wouldn't be as concerned. No, that's Tiff's hell.
Yeah, no thank you.
We've talked about her, like, having access to possibly Earth. So it does really make you wonder if she can traverse worlds somehow. Maybe it's the imaginary tree or the Sea of Quanta. Or the Astral Express. But, she also narrates Wanderer's collected miscellany video. And she's sort of coyly hinting, some people think, at the idea of not being affected by changes to Irminsul, because she's kind of like, Wanderer has a very simple past or a very complicated past. It just depends on who you're asking. So she's kind of like doing this sort of like wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
Which makes people think that she was not affected by the overwrite, just like Traveler, which is another reason people think she could be a descender, that she's, not from this world.
Which we brought up the term descender earlier, and just for our travelers who don't know, descenders is a term created by the Fatui to describe people who aren't from Teyvat. People who descended down, quote unquote, to Teyvat. And from my understanding, how many are there?
4?
4? I was going to say 6. I think it's 4.
I think we're the 4th, right?
Oh,
Yes.
so we know there's at least 4.
And we know that the primordial one, or the Heavenly Principles, is the first one, but we don't know who 2 and 3 are.
And we have no idea who the Heavenly Principles is.
Correct.
Isn't that wonderful?
Like a nice little list of things we don't know.
I know, after Brandon's like, but we do know. I'm like, no. Unfortunately, we still are in a point, I think, in Genshin where we have more questions than answers.
Yeah.
And I think a character like Alice really leaves a lot that you want to learn.
Can we go back to the elf ears? Because one of my pseudo theories is that maybe the people with elf ears in this game are descendants of the Seelies. Like, maybe the Seelies were like elves.
Could Layla possibly be like a Seelie descendant?
Yes. Layla, Nahida, and Pulcinella, they all have elf ears. Ito has pointy ears, sort of, but they're not the same type.
No, because he's full
He's
Oni.
an Oni, yeah.
Do you think it's possible that, like, they're the contemporary children, or like their ancestors were the human and the Seelie that got together?
Yeah, that's sort of what I'm thinking. That they are from the, the Seelie descendant, the one who got with the human and caused the exile of the Seelies. Like, maybe the Seelie, like they're sort of, generations down from that pairing.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Just an idea. Because we don't know what the Seelies look like, really.
No, we don't. But I like this theory because, like, you're right. And we don't know really how long Seelies are supposed to live. Again, so much we don't know.
Yeah, we know that they are not human, but that they guided humans as probably the divine envoys. And isn't that sort of similar to a lot of elven lore from other IPs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're sort of like the wise people that sort of steer other races in the right direction.
Which is interesting with Layla, because Layla comes off like such like an airhead almost, but then her like other personality, like the sleepwalker, is so much a guide. Like, even during the Sumeru event that we recently had, where we were doing the Darshan competition, like, the shadow self of Layla, like, was trying to help people.
I loved that. That was so great. It was like, oh, hi. We have two personalities happening here. I love it.
She also has like a natural skill at astrology.
Yeah.
Like someone else we know.
Like Mona, although Mona doesn't have elf ears, but
No.
Not
Mona,
yet.
you could tell Mona works really hard at it.
Yeah,
She
she
do.
does. So then we've gone over a lot of the people that the characters have like relations with and who could be important. But another character I think is really fun is that Alice has a kind of good relationship with Zhongli, because he was her travel partner when she was writing the leeway portion of the Teyvat travel guide.
Yeah. And seems like, at least in my opinion, I don't know how much she really likes him. Like, she doesn't really get him because, like, you know, she starts looking at all these stone pillars in Julian Karst, and she's like, this looks like it used to be underwater, and this looks like this was just placed here. And he kind of just laughs, like, and he's very entertained by it because obviously he knows all the truth. And she seems to like be like, what you laughing at, buddy?
What you laughing at, Willis?
He might be one of the few people who's older than her,
Yeah.
because we know that she knew Yaimiko when she was a little girl, which was 500 years ago.
Yeah, she says how when she does the Inazuma one, she says how Yaimiko has grown up so much, and you know that she's sad that she can't make her cry anymore.
Oh my god. So fucking rude.
Alice has got some problems.
She also says that Zhongli is the sternest person that she knows.
Oh, interesting. I mean, I'd agree with that.
She also told Lisa back in the Mondstadt one that they should
Oh my god, this is so unhinged.
Oh
that
god.
they should take the Hilly Charles and use them to power the windmills and, like, you know, kind of just be on an assembly line. But then they should take the weaker Hilly Charles, kill them, grind them up as food, and feed them to the stronger ones. Because that's what they would do in Snezhnaya.
She's like, we could power a giant factory like they did in Snezhnaya.
Yeah. And Lisa's just like, get the fuck out of here.
Lisa's like, okay.
What?
Yeah.
You know what? At this point, you know what? No. You know, Gold didn't do it alone. The destruction of Conria was both Gold and Alice.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
They definitely see the world as like their toy, their plaything.
Well, speaking of which, another little silly thing she does is in Inazuma, she goes over to the furnace and she's just like, this shit ain't working right. It's gonna like go haywire. And she takes a whole bunch of stuff out of it, like valves and panels, and she throws it into the sea because, you know, hey, why not recycle? She fixes it up and she's like, oh, well, you know, it's gonna produce less, but it's not gonna go haywire anymore. Like, I did them a favor. But like, nobody asked you, bitch.
She probably like did that in an afternoon too, and then was like off to the next thing.
Yeah, she just randomly walked past it and was just like, meh. I had wondered if maybe like part of that is slightly different because of the Skara thing, but what you're saying about like her not being affected by Irminsul makes more sense.
Yeah, and she probably fixed it after Skara fixed it, because we know that it's still pretty fucked up, like in current day.
That's part of our quest too, right? Is like we have to kind of try and make it better.
Yeah, exactly.
She's a little weirdo.
She is. I'm so excited to meet her. I know this year during Windbloom, a lot of people thought that Scarlet was going to be Alice originally, and then she wasn't. It was very disappointing. It's interesting how characters from Mondstadt are being gate kept. Does that make sense? Like, they're gatekeeping a lot of big Mondstadt players from us.
like Varka.
Alice, Gold, Simon Pegg, Frederica. And from what I understand, right now, this is the only nation that they really are guarding people like that from us.
Yeah, because really, I mean, we don't really have lore in the other places that isn't out there or dead.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, right?
Yeah.
It makes me wonder if, I mean, it doesn't make me wonder. It just really buckles down on my idea that Mondstadt is going to be where a lot of the end game plot takes place.
Yeah, they're definitely coming back to Mondstadt over and over again.
Yes. And I also I also wanted to say that I just want to find it so I don't mess it up. So in one of Albedo's voice lines, he calls Alice a near omnipotent sorceress, which is interesting because the first thing that came into my head was the omnipresent god. That was like what my head went to. And it makes me curious, could she be the omnipresent god that there's a statue of?
There's like an
I don't
idea that she
know.
could be the god of Teyvat. I do not think so. I really think she's a descender.
Doesn't mean she can't be an omnipresent god.
True.
Or both.
Or both.
Yeah.
But when we think omnipresent, it's all encompassing, all encroaching.
It feels like that would be the primordial one.
Yeah, at least it feels such. And because we know Alice, I don't know, every time I think of omnipresent gods, you think they're everywhere and nowhere all at once at the same time. And in a way, Alice is, but we know she's not because she's connected through mortal lenses and mortal lines, if that makes sense. She's connected to Klee, who, even though she is long-lived and she is still mortal, she will die one day. She's connected to all these orphans and non-orphans.
What if she's the Seelie ancestor who got with the human, which is Klee's dad? I mean, Klee could be that old. We don't know.
That would be really interesting.
Oh my god, that'd be crazy.
That would be awesome. I would love that.
That's why Klee was allowed in the Knights, because she's not actually 8.
She's more like 800.
Yeah,
Million?
8,000. Like,
Now, was she the
100 million?
youngest person to get a vision? Like, she says she was very young and she blew up her shop, and then like the dust cleared and under the ashes was a glowing vision. But she seems awfully young. I mean, I guess that would depend on what her age actually is.
For some stupid reason, I just think of Hotel Transylvania and I'm like, oh my god, she's turning 118. You're finally an adult vampire. It's like one of those thingies.
oh my god, that's so funny.
Maybe she might not be the youngest, or she might be the youngest of her people that have gotten it.
Yeah, and don't they say like Klee is like useless to ask about it because she's just like la la la, blew stuff
Yeah.
up, got vision.
Yeah. And she's like, I was young, like she's not young. She didn't really care. She just kind of got it. But like, the gods kind of smiled down on her too. Like she was born with all of this like raw talent.
Yeah.
So they saw it early. I mean, why wait, I guess?
I mean, if my theory's right and the Elfirs are Seelies or Seelie ancestors, that would make sense because it's a more direct line to Celestia.
A couple fun little tidbits though about Klee that I just want to throw in there, just because I say it all the time. I love when the game developers take some kind of little thing and like work on it, so it's like almost like if you know, you know. And her name means clover in German.
Yes, it does.
So, and she wears all of her 4-leaf clover like things on her whole outfit and stuff like that. And I just think it's such a cute little like callback to it. And like normally a clover would be 3, but she even mentions it's a 4-leaf clover for luck and stuff like that. I think it's a nice little callback.
Yeah.
Blessed by the fates.
Yeah.
It's so funny too because I think Klee was gifted something by her mom and she says that it's like good luck.
I think it's one of her clovers.
Oh, is it one of the clovers?
Yeah. Mhm.
Because I will say I totally snatched that for my my fanfic.
Yeah, that's why she's got it all basically all on her too.
It's like I think I said that Alice gave Klee like this like special ribbon that was supposed to be good luck, and Klee gives it to Nat at one point
Aw.
and melts everyone's heart
Aw.
with her bombs. No, I'm I will say though, you know, I want to just talk a little bit more about Alice adopting all the lost souls of Teyvat. And I know you guys were kind of saying maybe that's the reason she's not the omnipresent god, but I also feel like Alice is a trailblazer. You know what I mean? Not like Star Rail trailblazer, just like
I
us.
thought that's where you were going. I was like, okay.
And you're like, all right, that's Stell.
I'm hearing this. I'm here for this. Let's go.
Unless she's sorting through the trash, my favorite thing. Which I will say, and Tiff's gonna hate me for saying this quickly, but I did see something on Instagram where someone was at a convention dressed as Stell from Star Rail, and they were walking around with a bag of trash, and people could pull things out of it because the Trailblazers, who are the travelers in that game, like they talk to trash cans. It is the best part of the game.
Did they pull the game out of the trash bag too?
Ooh.
Oh my God.
Oh no.
The shade.
But I feel like Alice kind of goes to the beat of her own drum. So if Alice were a god or a descender or anything that's usually more high and mighty, I could see her trying to change the status quo. And I think that's really important. And I think that there's a part of me that thinks that Alice doesn't believe in like what Gold is up to. And that's why she's like happy to take Albedo in and is trying to get Albedo to be like her kid instead and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Or maybe, Gold is just dead. And she's like, I gotta take care of her kids. I just have one fun fact. I just wanted to say that we all talk about Alice being a deadbeat mom and how she's like never around and just sort of pawn Klee off on people. But there is a wing glider called the Wings of Feasting, which is the stupid KFC glider that people know of. And in the description of this, there's actually some like good lore in there. And Alice says that she's always away and busy because Teyvat's borders have grown fragile these past 2 years. And I thought that was really interesting because she's not saying like Mondstadt's border, she's saying Teyvat's borders, which makes me wonder if that means like the actual borders of the world itself.
Like, are things crumbling?
Right. And so she's kind of like, mommy's going to be busy because she has to like go and take care of this. Also, another weird thing in that Wings of Feasting piece, you find out that when humans first populated Teyvat, they would eat dragons.
We're a horrible people.
What the fuck?
Audacity. Gross.
That was how they fit in the fried chicken concept. Let's be real.
Exactly. That is
Dragons
exactly
are
it.
reptiles, which are chicken.
She said dragon drumsticks and dragon wings were smeared with flour and were subjected to the flames of the furnaces that the humans made.
And make sure to dip it in Al's homemade ranch.
Yes, Midwest love.
They say that dragon meat tasted delicious, causes people to lick their fingers after eating. It's so disgusting.
It's finger licking good, Brandon.
It's finger licking good. The Sunday feast, which used to only happen once a week, became a daily occurrence because the meat was just too good. Like, what the hell? Like,
This is so fucked.
you can tell that they wrote it just as like a let's have some fun and incorporate KFC into this piece, but it's like, is this supposed to be canon? Like,
I hope not.
because she tells this whole story of like, dragons ruled the world and then humans showed up and then they started eating the dragon.
I mean, I totally could see it as real because we talk about, the defeat of the dragon sovereigns, but also I would love for them to come out with a Pizza Hut wing glider, and so we can get some lore about how pizza ties into the origins of Teyvat.
Yeah.
Hold on. I have one last thing before we go because it's cute. Because obviously there's a lot of Alice in Wonderland image. Well, there's one thing that I learned recently, and there's a dodo that I totally forgot about in Alice in Wonderland, and it's Lewis Carroll's self-insert, and the dodo stutters, so he says dodo dodson.
What is a dodo? Like the dodo bird?
Yeah, the
It's a
dodo bird. The
Oh.
extinct dodo Dumbo bird.
R.I.P. Like Conria.
Extinct like the dragons.
But no, so because of that stutter, the Dodson Dodoko was born. That's it. That's the fun fact. Dodoko is from the dodo from Alice in Wonderland.
But I do think that's all the time we have for today. Thank you, travelers, for coming and talking with us about our favorite characters. No, we love them. I'm being biased because I like Klee a lot. But thank you for coming down and talking a little bit about Alice and Klee and some of the theories we have around them. If you like this episode or you have any thoughts you'd like to let us know about, you can message us on Instagram, Tales of Teyvat Pod, or message us on Twitter, Tales of Teyvat. Additionally, you can send us an email, talesofteyvatpod@gmail.com. Next week, we will be talking about Dodoray, the second Fatui Harbinger, and my least favorite character in this entire goddamn game. Otherwise, travelers, safe journeys. We'll see you next time.
Bye, Nerds of Chaos.